In a universe dominated by technology, two powerful empires have risen to shape the modern world. On one side is Apple, the pioneer of minimalism, with a closed philosophy and a perfectly crafted ecosystem, creating products that are not just tools but cultural icons. Opposite is Samsung, the giant of diversity, covering every market segment and relentlessly pursuing the power of technology and the market. They were once partners, allies, but fate pushed them into an inevitable confrontation. In 2011, a historic lawsuit erupted when Apple accused Samsung of brazenly copying the iPhone's design. This legal battle wasn't just about patents, it was a formal declaration of war, the opening punch in a decade-long conflict that turned partners into direct rivals. And from then on, their weapons weren't just technology, it was relentless, sarcastic advertising campaigns. It was fierce technological battles over every gigabyte, every megapixel. Retina versus AMOLED, until Apple itself had to buy old from Samsung. The camera race, where Samsung chased pixel counts, while Apple focused on image processing. It was world-shaking scandals. The Galaxy Note 7 explosion scandal and Apple's bold moment of removing the headphone jack, sparking global debate. This isn't just a war of silicon and screens. It's a battle of two life philosophies, where the world's two largest user communities, iPhones versus Sam fans, became opposing armies in every forum. They debated endlessly, not just for a phone, but for the way they choose to live, to connect. This war has shaped us, created smartphones, and so much more. It redefined how we live, connect, and dream. And if you don't want to miss any tech drama in this series, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell now. Two conflicting philosophies, Apple and Samsung. If you've ever gotten into a heated debate with a friend just because one of you uses an iPhone and the other is loyal to Samsung, then congratulations, you've inadvertently stepped into a war that's not just about technology, but about a philosophy of life. Apple and Samsung, the two giants dominating the smartphone industry, don't just compete on sales or market share. They represent two completely opposite views on how people interact with technology. This isn't just a story about specs, design, or price, but about how each brand defines user experience, freedom, and cultural identity. Let's delve deeper into these two conflicting philosophies and ask yourself, do you belong to Apple's perfectly curated garden or Samsung's diverse supermarket? Imagine the tech world as a vast city where Apple chose not to build the entire city, but instead created a secluded, meticulously cared for garden, down to the smallest detail. Every path, every bush, every pebble in this garden is perfectly arranged, creating a unified, seamless, and almost magical experience. Apple's core philosophy can be summed up in two words: minimalism and closed ecosystem. Apple tightly controls every aspect of its products, from hardware to software, from physical design to user experience. They develop their own chips, their iOS and macOS operating systems, and even small details like the screws in their devices. The result is a closed ecosystem where every device, a phone, iPad, MacBook, Apple Watch, AirPods works in sync like an orchestra conducted by a master. You can start drafting a document on your iPhone in the Notes app, continue editing on your iPad, and finish on your MacBook without any hiccups. Features like AirDrop, Handoff, iCloud create an experience so smooth that users almost don't need to think about the technical details. According to a 2024 Statista report, this closed ecosystem helps Apple retain up to 85% of iPhone users, with a much lower conversion rate to other brands compared to Android users. Apple's philosophy isn't just about technology, it's a statement about a lifestyle. Apple products, from the iPhone with its minimalist, sleek design to the MacBook with its premium unibody aluminum casing, are not just tech devices, but symbols of sophistication and class. Apple's advertising campaigns rarely focus on dry specs like RAM, CPU speed, or battery size. Instead, they tell emotional stories, From a beautiful sunset photo taken with an iPhone to a family video edited on iMovie, or a song composed on GarageBand. Campaigns like Shot on iPhone don't just promote a product. They inspire creativity, making users feel they own not just a phone, but a tool to capture life's memorable moments. Owning an Apple product isn't just buying a device. It's joining a community of people who value simplicity, elegance, and design perfection. According to a 2024 Brand Keys survey, Apple consistently leads in brand loyalty, with 92% of iPhone users in the US saying they will continue to buy an iPhone in the future, partly due to the cultural appeal Apple has built. However, Apple's perfect garden also comes with its barriers. iPhone users often find it difficult to interact with devices outside the Apple ecosystem. For example, sending a file via Bluetooth to an Android phone is nearly impossible. And connecting with third-party accessories like headphones or smartwatches often doesn't achieve the same seamlessness as with products within the ecosystem. This isn't a technical limitation, but a philosophical choice. Apple prioritizes stability, security, and a unified experience within its garden, but in return, users must accept the rules of the game they've set. A prime example is iMessage, Apple's proprietary messaging app. iMessage works great between Apple devices, supporting high-quality photos, videos, and features like memojis or message effects. However, when messaging Android users, iMessage switches to SMS or MMS, resulting in compressed image quality, no support for modern features, and even disrupting group communication. According to a 2023 Consumer Intelligence Research Partners survey, 40% of iPhone users in the US reported experiencing difficulties when messaging Android users, leading to minor dramas in mixed device, friend, or family groups. For Apple, the convenience and security within their ecosystem are more valuable than openness to the outside world. If Apple is a carefully cultivated, secluded garden, then Samsung is a giant tech supermarket with something for everyone, from affordable items to unique premium products. Samsung's philosophy can be summed up in two words: diversity and openness. Instead of confining users to a closed ecosystem, Samsung offers a world of choices, catering to every need, preference, and budget. Samsung isn't afraid to experiment and pioneer new tech fields. They were the first to market with foldable screens, the integrated S Pen on the Galaxy Note and S Ultra lines, and unique features like curved screens, split screen, multitasking, or DeX mode that turns a phone into a desktop computer. According to a 2024 IDC report, Samsung held a 20.8% share of the global smartphone market, surpassing Apple. Thanks to a diverse product portfolio ranging from flagship lines like the Galaxy S2 for Ultra and Z, Fold 6 to budget lines like the Galaxy A15 or M34. Unlike Apple, which focuses almost entirely on the high-end segment, Samsung targets every user demographic, from those seeking a sub-$100 phone for basic needs to those willing to spend $2,000 for an advanced foldable device. Samsung also stands out for its flexibility in design and features. For example, the Galaxy Z Fold 6 isn't just a phone. It can unfold into a mini tablet, supporting multitasking like running 3 apps at once on the screen. Meanwhile, the Galaxy A series offers premium features like good quality cameras and large batteries at an affordable price, suitable for developing markets like Southeast Asia and India. According to a 2024 Counterpoint research report, Samsung leads the mid-range 5G smartphone market, holding a 35% share. Thanks to its ability to offer affordable devices that still integrate advanced technology, Samsung's openness is clearly demonstrated by its use of the Android platform, an open-source operating system developed by Google. Android allows users to customize almost every aspect of their device, from the home screen using launchers like Nova Launcher to installing apps from sources outside the Google Play Store, or even rooting the device to access advanced features. Samsung users can easily connect with non-Samsung devices, such as affordable Bluetooth headphones, Xiaomi smartwatches, or Windows computers. According to 2025 State Counter statistics, Android holds a 71% share of the global mobile OS market. and Samsung is the largest manufacturer, leveraging this flexibility to meet diverse user needs. Moreover, Samsung doesn't just focus on software, it invests heavily in hardware. They are one of the world's largest component suppliers, producing AMOLED screens, gynos, chips, flash memory, and camera sensors. Even Apple uses old screens produced by Samsung Display for its high-end iPhone models. According to a 2024 Counterpoint research report, Samsung Display holds a 50% share of the global OLED screen market, supplying components not just to Samsung but also to competitors. This shows Samsung's industrial power. They aren't just a smartphone manufacturer but a tech empire, shaping the entire industry's supply chain. However, Samsung's diversity also comes with its challenges. With a vast product portfolio, the user experience sometimes lacks consistency. For example, budget phones like the Galaxy A series may not receive software updates as quickly or frequently as the flagship line, making some users feel left behind. Additionally, Samsung's One UI interface, while significantly improved, sometimes criticized for having too many features, making it difficult for users unfamiliar with the complexity. According to a 2024 TechRadar survey, 30% of Samsung users reported using only about 50% of the available features on their phones due to the sheer number of options. The war between Apple and Samsung is not just a race for sales or market share, it's a clash between two worldviews on technology and life. Apple represents predetermined perfection, a closed ecosystem where everything works seamlessly. But users must follow the strict rules of the garden owner. Samsung, conversely, is a symbol of unlimited freedom, a diverse world where users can customize and master technology, but sometimes have to deal with complexity and inconsistency. Apple is like a master director, creating a perfectly edited film, but you can only watch the exact version they want. Samsung is a warehouse full of tools where you can build your own story, but it requires time and skill to unlock its full potential. Pew Research study found that 60% of US smartphone users chose the iPhone for its simplicity and tight integration, while 55% of Android users prioritized flexibility, customization, and affordability. Another 2024 YouGov survey showed that Apple users often value aesthetics and stability, while Samsung users appreciate innovation and personalization. So who are you in this philosophical war? You someone who loves the elegance and smoothness of the Apple garden, where everything is set up for you to enjoy without worrying about the technical details? Or are you a freedom lover, ready to explore and master technology in Samsung's diverse supermarket? Your choice isn't just about buying a phone. It reflects your life philosophy, how you balance control and freedom, simplicity and complexity, aesthetics and practicality. Thank you for exploring the first part of this war between two conflicting philosophies. Stay tuned to learn more about how Apple and Samsung compete in design, technology, and culture in the next parts. If you don't want to miss out, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get updates as soon as the new parts are released. The origin of the rivalry, Apple and Samsung. If the war between iPhone and Samsung were a Hollywood blockbuster, emotional debates between iPhone and Samsung user communities on social media forums to the highly competitive, mocking advertising campaigns is the dramatic climax of a long story spanning a decade. But to truly understand why these two tech giants fell into an irreconcilable rivalry, with protracted lawsuits and fierce competition on every front, we need to rewind to the beginning, where it all started. It wasn't a sudden lawsuit or a single mocking ad, but a series of historical events that reshaped the entire smartphone industry. From hardware design to software, and laid a solid foundation for one of the greatest tech wars of all time. Let's go back to the period before 2007, when the mobile tech world was in a completely different phase, not yet shaped by touchscreens and mobile apps. What were mobile phones like back then? They were legendary Nokia brick phones, like the Nokia 3310. It's famous for its durability, or the Nokia 1100 with a battery that lasted for weeks. They were compact Sony Ericsson phones with trendy slider designs. like the Sony Ericsson T610 with its first integrated camera, or BlackBerry phones with full QWERTY keyboards, beloved by business people for their fast and secure email capabilities. Like the BlackBerry Pearl or Curve, the mobile phone market at that time was filled with devices with physical keyboards, from simple number pads for SMS to QWERTY keyboards for email and chat. The main function of a phone still revolved around making calls, sending messages, and sometimes playing a few simple games like Snake, or taking low-quality photos with a camera of only about 0.3 megapixels. Internet on a phone? That was a luxury concept with slow, difficult-to-use WAP interfaces and prohibitively high data costs, which most users only used for basic email checks or simple web browsing. In that context, on January 9, 2007, Steve Jobs, the legendary CEO of Apple, took the stage at the Macworld event in San Francisco. With a confident, charismatic, and mesmerizing presentation style, he introduced a compact device with no physical keyboard, just a large touchscreen taking up the entire front and a single home button at the bottom. He called it the iPhone, a device that combined three products in one: a revolutionary phone, a widescreen iPod, and a breakthrough internet communicator. The entire auditorium held its breath, followed by a thunderous applause. Some critics scoffed, calling a phone without a physical keyboard a crazy idea, an expensive toy that couldn't compete with giants like Nokia or BlackBerry, which dominated the market with over 50% of the global market share. But others, including tech analysts from Gartner and IDC, realized that this was not just a new product. This was a true revolution that changed how people interacted with mobile technology. The iPhone completely redefined the smartphone, turning it from a simple communication tool into a mobile entertainment and work platform. The multi-touch screen allowed users to pinch to zoom in and out, and swipe with a finger to scroll smoothly, actions that are now standard on every smartphone but were completely groundbreaking at the time, protected by hundreds of Apple patents. The App Store, launched in 2008, turned the iPhone into an open platform for developers, bringing thousands of apps from games like Angry Birds or tools like Evernote to social media like Facebook and Twitter, creating a massive ecosystem, according to a Statista report by 2010. The iPhone held 15.7% of the global smartphone market share, surpassing BlackBerry and marking the end of Nokia's dominance, which fell from 40% to just 28% in the same period. The iPhone was not just a phone. It was a cultural icon, a turning point that made old mobile devices obsolete overnight, driving a global shift towards touchscreens and mobile apps, influencing even the automotive, medical, and education industries. In the early days of the iPhone, the relationship between Apple and Samsung was not that of rivals, but a close, almost intimate partnership in a very special way in the tech world. Samsung, as one of the world's largest electronics component manufacturers, played a crucial role in supplying the core components for the iPhone from its earliest days. From the processor chip, NAND flash memory, to the LCD screen, Samsung was the behind-the-scenes partner that helped Apple realize Steve Jobs' creative vision. For example, the A4 chip in the iPhone 4, launched in 2010, was manufactured by Samsung. Based on Apple's ARM design, but using advanced production lines at factories in Korea and the US. According to a 2010 iFixit teardown analysis report, about 30% of the iPhone 4's component value came from parts supplied by Samsung, including the RAM and the first Retina display. This relationship was not just a simple business transaction, but a mutual dependency. Apple needed Samsung's large-scale production capacity and advanced technology to meet the demand for millions of iPhones each quarter, while Samsung benefited from lucrative contracts with Apple, helping to increase its component division's revenue by billions of dollars each year and solidify its leading position in the global supply chain. However, this partnership began to falter when the iPhone became a global phenomenon, with soaring sales and widespread cultural influence. The immense success of the iPhone not only shook the market, but also made Samsung realize that it couldn't remain a passive component supplier forever. It needed to step onto the main stage to compete directly, with its superior strengths in hardware manufacturing from vibrant AMOLED screens, self-developed Exynos chips, two high-quality camera sensors, and large batteries. Samsung had the capability to step into the spotlight and become a major player in the smartphone market. In 2009, Samsung launched the Galaxy S, the first phone in the Galaxy flagship line. Running on Google's rapidly growing open-source Android operating system, with a brilliant 4-inch AMOLED screen, a thin and light 9.9mm design, and a user-friendly custom TouchWiz interface, the Galaxy S was quickly compared to the iPhone 3GS, attracting users with a more affordable price and extended features. According to Counterpoint Research, by 2011, the Galaxy S series had sold over 20 million units globally, marking a turning point that turned Samsung from a component supplier into Apple's direct rival, surpassing even Motorola and HTC in the Android segment. This transition did not happen without tension and underlying conflicts. Samsung not only learned from the iPhone, but also accelerated the innovation process to surpass it, investing billions of dollars in R&D. They leveraged Android to offer a more flexible experience, with the ability to customize the interface via launchers, support for micro SD cards to expand storage, easy-to-replace batteries, and integrated features like FM radio or infrared points that the iPhone lacked, aiming to attract users in emerging markets like India and China. From a strategic ally, where both sides shared manufacturing know-how, Samsung became Apple's biggest rival, like a close friend who suddenly steps into the ring to challenge you in a no-holds-barred match, leading to a market split into two camps, the closed iOS and the open Android. The competition between Apple and Samsung initially took place in silence, with products becoming increasingly similar in features and design, but gradually revealing copying and improvements. The iPhone 4, with its glass back and stainless steel frame, launched in 2010, offering a premium design and a 5MP camera, while the Galaxy S2 in 2011 responded with a thin and light 8.5mm design, a larger 4.3-inch Super AMOLED Plus screen, and an improved 8MP camera, along with a faster dual-core chip. But this simmering tension soon exploded into a public war, not just in the market but in the courtroom. The climax occurred in April 2011, when Apple filed a lawsuit against Samsung in a federal court in California, accusing Samsung of brazenly copying the iPhone and iPad's design in the Galaxy S and Galaxy Tab series. Apple claimed that Samsung violated over 20 patents related to user interface, such as the slide-to-unlock gesture, the rounded corner square app icon design, and even the app grid layout. This lawsuit was not just a dry legal dispute, it was a formal declaration of war, marking the end of the partnership between the two giants. With Apple feeling betrayed by its own largest component supplier, the lawsuit lasted for years, with trials taking place globally from the US, Europe, to Korea and Japan, involving hundreds of lawyers and billions of dollars in costs. In 2012, Apple won a major lawsuit in the US, with the jury ordering Samsung to pay over $1 billion in damages for patent infringement, leading to a temporary sales ban on some Galaxy products in the US. However, Samsung also responded strongly with counter-lawsuits, accusing Apple of infringing on patents related to 3G and 4G wireless technology, which were Samsung's strengths in the telecommunications field. According to Bloomberg, in 2018, both sides reached an out-of-court settlement after the U.S. Supreme Court intervened. But the legal war had deepened the hostility between them, with total estimated damages of up to $2 billion and an impact on the global supply chain. The legal battle was just the tip of the iceberg. In the market, Apple and Samsung constantly released products to one-up each other, creating a cycle of continuous innovation. Samsung introduced groundbreaking features like larger screens, the S Pen for productivity, and later foldable screens with the Galaxy Z Fold and Flip series, offering a new multitasking experience. Meanwhile, Apple focused on optimizing the iOS software, the performance of its A-series chips, and deep integration with services like iCloud and the Apple Watch. Advertising campaigns also became a fierce battlefield, with Samsung frequently launching ads mocking the iPhone, such as the 2017 ad that ridiculed the iPhone's lack of a 3.5mm headphone jack and the need for an adapter, or the Growing Up campaign in 2017 that told the story of a user switching from iPhone to Galaxy. Apple, in turn, responded by emphasizing the elegance and high security of the iOS ecosystem, subtly implying that Android was unstable and easy to hack through ads like privacy. That's iPhone in 2019. The war between Apple and Samsung was not a random or spontaneous event. It was the inevitable result of a clash between two opposing philosophies on the same path to dominating the smartphone market, where Apple represented closed perfection and a refined user experience, while Samsung embodied flexibility, hardware innovation, and diverse access. Apple, with Steve Jobs' vision of a closed ecosystem and perfect experience, redefined the tech industry with the iPhone, driving the development of mobile apps and integrating technology into daily life. Samsung, with its superior manufacturing capabilities and the flexibility of Android, quickly rose from a component supplier to a formidable rival, capturing a large market share in both budget and high-end segments. The 2011 lawsuit was not the beginning of the rivalry, but the moment the world realized that these two giants could not coexist in peace, leading to market diversification and consumer benefits through continuous innovation. Have you ever wondered if Samsung hadn't quickly entered the smartphone game with the Galaxy line, would the market have evolved differently? Could another giant like Nokia, with its outdated Symbian OS, or HTC, with its early Android models, have risen to challenge Apple so powerfully? Or was this rivalry inevitable, as different philosophies on technology, user experience, and business models clashed in a rapidly developing industry? Ponder that, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to not miss the next part, where we will explore in depth how Apple and Samsung continue this war through product design, advanced technology, and cultural influence on modern society. The tech battles Apple and Samsung in direct confrontation, if last part was the story of the origin of the rivalry between Apple and Samsung, where the seeds of competition were sown from their early days of collaboration, then this is the most fiery one-on-one duels, where these two tech giants directly compete on every feature, every smallest detail. This is not just a war of technical specifications or dry numbers on a spec sheet. It's a confrontation of technology philosophies, design visions, and how each company shapes the future of the smartphone. Every millimeter of the screen, every megapixel of the camera, every second of battery charging becomes a battlefield where Apple and Samsung constantly challenge each other, bringing groundbreaking improvements to users. Let's explore each front in this war, from screens, cameras, batteries, to design, and see how these two giants have shaped the modern smartphone industry. The first and one of the most intense battlefronts between Apple and Samsung was screen technology, the core element that defines the user experience on a smartphone. When Apple launched the iPhone 4 in 2010, they proudly introduced the Retina display, a groundbreaking concept with a super high pixel density, delivering images so sharp that the human eye couldn't distinguish individual pixels. Apple called it a true-to-life display, with authentic standard colors, reproducing almost exactly what the human eye sees in the real world. Apple's philosophy was to focus on accuracy and naturalness, providing a consistent visual experience across its entire ecosystem, from iPhone to iPad and MacBook, so users could edit photos or videos with high fidelity. Meanwhile, Samsung, with its leading position in display technology, placed a big bet on AMOLED screens. First appearing on the Galaxy S in 2010, quickly impressed with vibrant colors, almost infinite contrast and energy-saving capabilities when displaying dark content. Samsung didn't just stop at improving AMOLED, pioneered technologies like Super AMOLED and later Dynamic AMOLED with HDR10+ support, providing a vivid visual experience, especially suitable for watching movies, playing games, or using in bright light conditions. Samsung's philosophy was visually appealing, prioritizing vibrancy and visual impact, even if the colors might be slightly oversaturated compared to reality. The screen war sparked heated debates in the tech community. iPhone users were proud of the true-life nature of the Retina display, arguing that it was ideal for professional tasks like photos or video editing. Conversely, Samsung users praised AMOLED for its vibrant colors and excellent display capabilities in entertainment apps. Forums like XDA developers and Reddit were filled with detailed analyses, comparing every color shade, the depth of black, and viewing angles to defend each side's truth, according to a report by DisplayMate, a display evaluation organization. Galaxy models like the S8 and Note 10 consistently led in peak brightness and color accuracy under various conditions. But Apple's Retina display was highly praised for its uniformity and ability to calibrate colors to sRGB Rec. 709 standards. However, the screen story had a bittersweet and ironic ending. In 2017, when Apple launched the iPhone X, the first iPhone to ditch the home button and switch to an edge-to-edge design, they were forced to switch to old screens. And none other than Samsung was the main supplier. According to Reuters, Samsung Display signed a contract to supply millions of old panels for the iPhone X, with an estimated value of up to $4.3 billion in 2017. This marked a turning point. Apple, once the champion of Retina LCDs, had to rely on its rival's AMOLED technology to realize its vision of a more perfect iPhone with an edge-to-edge screen, deep blacks, and HDR support. The screen war didn't end with a clear knockout, but with a harsh reality. Despite fierce competition, Apple still needed Samsung to maintain its leading position. The camera was another battlefront where Apple and Samsung competed fiercely, with two completely opposite philosophies. Samsung, with the DNA of a hardware company, believed in the power of numbers and diversity. From the Galaxy S4, Samsung began the megapixel race, increasing the dots on the camera sensor to deliver more detailed images. They also pioneered integrating multiple lenses from ultra-wide, telephoto, to macro lenses long, with diverse shooting modes like night mode, 8K video recording, or super zoom. According to DxMark, the Galaxy S20 Ultra achieved a high camera score thanks to its 108MP sensor and 10x optical zoom capability, meeting the needs of users who want maximum creativity with mobile photography. Meanwhile, Apple took a completely different approach, prioritizing smart image processing over the numbers race. With the iPhone line, Apple kept the megapixel count modest, for example. The iPhone 6 South had only a 12MP camera. While rivals like the Galaxy S6 had reached 16MP, however, Apple invested heavily in software. Using advanced image processing algorithms, such as Smart HDR, Deep Fusion, and photographic styles, to create sharp, well-balanced, and natural-colored photos with just one tap. Apple's philosophy was to deliver a simple experience. Users only need to point and shoot to get a great photo, without complex adjustments. According to statistics from Counterpoint Research, iPhones often lead in overall camera quality tests, especially in low-light conditions and video recording. Thanks to their image stabilization and seamless software integration, the camera war created an endless debate in the user community. Samsung users were proud of the flexibility with manual customization, ultra-wide-angle shots for magnificent landscapes, or long-distance zoom for wildlife photography. Conversely, iPhone users loved the simplicity and consistency, with photos that always looked great even in the hands of an amateur. Comparison videos on YouTube, like those from Muro Sithabos or Marks Brownlee, frequently pitted iPhone and Galaxy cameras against each other, with millions of views and comments debating detail, color, or bokeh effects. This race didn't just stop at hardware, but also extended to artificial intelligence, as both companies integrated AI to improve scene recognition, optimize lighting, and even automatically edit photos. Battery and charging speed were another battlefield, where Samsung and Apple clearly showed their different design philosophies. Samsung, with the goal of serving modern, busy users, pioneered fast charging technology, From the Galaxy S10 with 2.5W fast charging to the Galaxy S2 to Ultra supporting for 5W charging, Samsung continuously improved to reduce charging time, allowing users to fully charge a 5,000 mAh battery in less than an hour. They also introduced features like reverse wireless charging, which allows a Galaxy phone to charge other devices, like headphones or a smartwatch. According to a GSM Arena report, Samsung's fast-charging technology consistently surpassed other Android rivals and became a key selling point, especially in markets like Asia, where users highly value speed. Conversely, Apple prioritized stability and safety in battery management. In the context of previous scandals involving exploding batteries, Apple adopted a more cautious approach. iPhones often have slower charging speeds, for example. The iPhone 11 only supported 18 West charging, while the iPhone 14 Pro reached 20 WBT, are optimized to reduce heat, protect battery lifespan, and ensure long-term safety. Apple also integrated features like optimized battery charging, which uses AI to adjust charging speed to minimize chemical wear on the battery. According to Tom's Guide tests, iPhone batteries often maintain over 80% capacity after 2 years of use, outperforming many Android rivals, including Galaxy. The battery and charging war was not just about specs, but also reflected different user needs. Samsung attracted those who wanted to charge quickly to get back to work immediately, while Apple targeted users who prioritized long-term durability and stability. Debates about batteries also appeared on platforms like X, where users compared real-world usage time and device temperature during fast charging. With each side having its own arguments, design was the front where Apple and Samsung most clearly expressed their personalities and visions. In 2017, Samsung launched the Infinity display on the Galaxy S8 with extremely thin bezels, a curved edge-to-edge screen, taking up almost the entire front of the phone. This design not only optimized the display space, but also made a statement about seamlessness, breaking all the limits of traditional screens. The Infinity display quickly became the standard for high-end smartphones, with models like the Galaxy Note 10 and S21 continuing to improve by reducing bezels to almost zero and integrating a subtle hole-punch selfie camera. Meanwhile, Apple introduced the iPhone X in 2017 with a notched design. A controversial decision, but one that opened a new era for edge-to-edge smartphones. The notch, which housed the Face ID sensors and selfie camera, became the iPhone's signature feature, although some users criticized it for breaking the screen's seamlessness. However, Apple turned the notch into an icon, with features like Face ID and Animoji making full use of this space. In 2022, Apple introduced the Dynamic Island on the iPhone 14 Pro, turning the notch into a smart interactive area, creatively displaying notifications and controlling apps. According to an IDC report, the iPhone X's design inspired a wave of Android smartphones to adopt the notch, but only Apple turned it into a unique selling point. The design war was not just about aesthetics, but also about how the two companies defined the future of the smartphone. Samsung aimed for minimalism and maximum display space, while Apple created iconic, recognizable highlights. The design debate exploded on platforms like X, with Galaxy users praising the Infinity display for its modernity, while iPhone fans defended the notch for its practicality and distinctiveness. The tech war between Apple and Samsung was not just a competition between two giants, but a driving force that spurred innovation in the smartphone industry. On every front screens, cameras, batteries, design, the two companies presented opposing but complementary philosophies, creating a diverse market with a wide range of choices. Samsung pushed for hardware and flexibility, while Apple focused on smart software and a consistent experience. Regardless of who won or lost in each battle, consumers were the biggest beneficiaries, with smartphones becoming increasingly powerful, beautiful, and convenient. Do you think this war will continue with new turning points, like Samsung's foldable screens or Apple's AI improvements? Will another rival one day emerge to challenge both? Share your thoughts. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to look forward to the next part. where we will explore the cultural and social impact of this rivalry from how users choose their side to the influence of the two giants on the global industry. The market and the courtroom, the war outside the tech ring. If the tech battles in the last part were fiery duels in the ring, where Apple and Samsung competed for every millimeter of screen, every megapixel of the camera, and every second of battery charging, then this will take us to another battlefield, much fiercer and more costly. The market and the courtroom. This is no longer a war of silicon, software, or design. This is a war of law, money, and brand power. On this chessboard, every move is carefully calculated. Every verdict can shake the entire industry, and every strategy aims to win the throne in the hearts of global consumers. Let's explore the two main fronts, legal and commercial, where Apple and Samsung confronted each other directly, leaving a deep mark on the history of modern technology. The war between Apple and Samsung, which had been simmering through trolling and ads and product comparisons, officially escalated to a new level in April 2011 when Apple filed a lawsuit against Samsung in a federal court in California. Apple accused Samsung of brazenly copying the design of the iPhone and iPad in the Galaxy S and Galaxy Tab series. Specifically, Apple claims Samsung violated a series of patents, from the overall design, user interface, to the arrangement of app icons on the home screen. This was no ordinary lawsuit. It was a resounding declaration of war from Apple, asserting that they would protect their intellectual property at all costs, especially when they felt betrayed by their own largest component supplier. The 2011 lawsuit opened a series of legal battles that lasted from 2011 to 2018, becoming one of the most expensive and intense dramas in tech history. Trials took place globally, from the US, Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, to Korea and Japan, with hundreds of top lawyers and legal fees reaching billions of dollars. Each trial was a public spectacle, with detailed evidence such as technical drawings, internal emails, and design documents presented for analysis. Apple showed slides comparing the iPhone and Galaxy S, pointing out similarities in shape and interface, while Samsung countered that these features were obvious in the industry and could not be monopolized. According to Bloomberg, the climax of the war occurred in 2012, when a US jury ruled that Samsung had infringed on 6 of Apple's patents, ordering Samsung to pay over $1 billion in damage, the colossal number that sent the message that Apple was the game maker and would not tolerate anyone who dared to challenge its intellectual property rights. However, Samsung did not easily give up. They responded with counter lawsuits, accusing Apple of infringing on patents related to wireless technology, such as the 3G and 4G standards, which were Samsung's strengths in telecommunications. These lawsuits led to temporary sales bans on some products from both sides in markets like Germany and Australia, disrupting the supply chain and causing significant losses. According to Reuters, in 2018, after numerous appeals and negotiations, the two sides reached an out-of-court settlement, with Samsung agreeing to pay Apple a compensation amount, ending the 7-year-long legal battle. While Apple was considered the legal winner, this war had deepened the animosity between the two giants, while also exposing a reality, even with fierce competition. Apple continued to rely on Samsung to supply components, like old screens and memory chips, with contracts worth billions of dollars each year. While Apple celebrated a resounding victory in the courtroom, Samsung was quietly gaining an advantage on another front: the market. Despite having to pay billions of dollars to Apple, Samsung maintained its position as the world's #1 smartphone manufacturer by volume, according to an IDC report. From 2011 to 2020, Samsung consistently led the global smartphone market, with a share ranging from 20 to 30%, far surpassing Apple. Samsung's secret lay in its product diversification strategy. From high-end flagship lines like the Galaxy S and Note, to mid-range and budget models like the Galaxy A and M series, helping them reach every customer segment, from users in developed markets like the US and Europe to those in emerging markets like India, Southeast Asia, and Africa. Conversely, Apple focused on the high-end segment, with iPhone models having a much higher average price than their rivals. According to Statista, the average selling price of an iPhone in 2020 was about $800, compared to about $300 for Samsung. This strategy helped Apple achieve huge profits, accounting for over 60% of the entire smartphone industry's profit, despite holding only a 15% market share, according to Counterpoint Research. Apple built an image of a premium brand, a symbol of creativity and lifestyle, attracting a loyal fan base willing to queue for hours to buy a new iPhone every year. Services like iCloud, Apple Music, and the closed ecosystem with the Apple Watch and AirPods turned the iPhone into the center of a seamless experience, making it difficult for users to leave. This is the key and most ironic point of the rivalry. Apple may have won the legal war, protected its intellectual property, solidified its position as a pioneer, but it couldn't stop Samsung from dominating in volume. Samsung, by offering a diverse range of products from $100 to over $1,000, captured markets that Apple couldn't or didn't want to access. For example, in India, the world's second largest smartphone market, Samsung held over a 20% market share in 2022, while Apple only reached about 5%, according to Canalys. Samsung also leveraged smart marketing campaigns, like the ingenious ad in 2018, which mocked the iPhone for lacking a memory card slot or fast charging, to attract young and price-sensitive users. The market war was not just about revenue or sales volume. It was a war to win the brand throne. Apple wanted to be seen as a symbol of creativity, class, and sophistication. With luxurious Apple stores and advertising campaigns that emphasized emotions like "shot on iPhone." Meanwhile, Samsung asserted its position as the market dominator, an unmissable giant with global outreach strategies and large-scale production capabilities. According to Interbrand in 2022, Apple held the position of the world's most valuable brand, while Samsung was fifth. But Samsung's presence in every segment made it a more familiar name in many regions. The war between Apple and Samsung in the courtroom and the market is a testament to the complexity of competition in the tech industry. Apple won the legal battle, protected its intellectual property, and strengthened its pioneer image. But Samsung gained an advantage in market share and global presence, proving that it could dominate with volume and flexibility. Each side had its own victories, but also had to face limitations. Apple couldn't surpass Samsung in volume. Samsung found it hard to achieve the same level of brand loyalty as Apple. So, in your opinion, is winning a billion-dollar lawsuit and protecting intellectual property more important than maintaining the #1 global position in volume? Can a legal victory compensate for losing market share in emerging markets? Or did Samsung, with its diversification strategy, find a way to survive and thrive even when losing in the courtroom? Ponder these questions, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to look forward to the next part, where we will explore the cultural and social impact of this rivalry, from how users choose their iPhone or Galaxy side to the influence of the two giants on global tech trends. Culture and users, the war of the fans. If the previous parts were stories about the tech giants Apple and Samsung facing off in the tech arena, the courtroom, and the market, then this is where this war stepped out of the boardrooms and battlefields to become a vibrant cultural drama, playing out on every forum, social media platform, and even in everyday conversations. This is no longer a war between engineers or lawyers, but a war of iPhones versus Samphones, the two largest user communities in the tech world, where loyalty, passion, and personal identity are expressed through the phone they hold in their hands. This war isn't just about features or price, but about culture, lifestyle, and how Apple and Samsung have skillfully shaped user perceptions. Let's explore how these two communities formed, the fiery debates, and the role of media in turning a tech rivalry into a global cultural phenomenon. You can easily spot an iFan or a Sam fan, not just by the phone they use, but by how they talk about technology, how they defend their favorite brand, and even how they view their rival. These two communities don't just represent two smartphone brands. They're two life philosophies, two approaches to technology and personal identity. The iFan community loyal iPhone users is often associated with an image of elegance, sophistication, and a modern lifestyle. For them, the iPhone is not just a tech device. It's a fashion accessory, a statement of aesthetic taste, and a ticket into a closed ecosystem where everything works seamlessly and in sync. From the iPhone, iPad, MacBook to AirPods and Apple Watch, Apple users feel a seamlessness that no other brand can match. An iFan might proudly boast that they can just text via iMessage, sync photos via iCloud, or share files via AirDrop without any hiccups, according to a 2022 Statista survey. Over 80% of iPhone users in the US said they would not switch to Android because of the familiarity and stability of the Apple ecosystem. iPhones often see themselves as part of a carefully curated community where every product carries the hallmark of class and innovation. They love the simplicity of the design of a single button, a minimalist interface, and an experience that doesn't require too much customization. For iPhones, the iPhone is not just a tool, it's a symbol of a lifestyle, reinforced by Apple's advertising campaigns like Shot on iPhone or Think Different, which emphasize creativity and individuality. On platforms like X, iPhones are ready to defend Apple against any criticism, from the lack of a headphone jack to the high price, arguing that quality is worth the price or Apple is always ahead of its time. Conversely, the Samfan community loyal Samsung Galaxy users has a completely different spirit, representing practicality, flexibility, and being a pioneer in technology. They are proud of Android's customization capabilities, which allow them to change the interface, install launchers, or even root their device to have complete control. Sam fans don't just use their phones, they tinker with them, turning them into a unique tool that reflects their personality. Features like the Galaxy Z Folds, foldable screen, the S Pen on the Note series, or the ability to expand memory via a micro SD card are points that Sam fans frequently boast about, especially when compared to the iPhone. According to Counterpoint Research, Samsung's Galaxy A and M series accounted for up to 60% of sales in emerging markets like India and Southeast Asia in 2022, thanks to their diversity and reasonable prices, attracting a large number of users who love practicality. Sam fans often see themselves as being at the forefront of experiencing new technologies that Apple hasn't yet integrated, such as 120Hz screens, 45W fast charging, or 108MP cameras. They don't hesitate to mock iFans for paying for the Apple logo while lacking advanced features. On forums like Reddit or XDA developers, Sam fans often share tips for customizing the interface or optimizing performance, creating a vibrant community where people explore the device's potential together. For Sam fans, technology is not just a tool, it's a playground for creativity and experimentation, and Samsung is the one who opens that door. The rivalry between Apple and Samsung didn't just stop at products or the courtroom. It was amplified by media and advertising campaigns, turning into a global cultural drama. Both companies used smart marketing strategies, not just to sell products, but to portray the opposing images of the iFan and Samfan communities, arousing loyalty and creating distinct factions. Samsung, with a bold and sometimes provocative marketing style, launched a series of ads directly mocking the iPhone and iPhones. The most notable was the ingenious campaign in 2018, where Samsung targeted the iPhone's weaknesses, such as the lack of a memory card slot, slower download speeds, or the need to buy an adapter for fast charging. One ad in this campaign depicted an iFan waiting in a long line to buy a new iPhone, only to have an Apple Store employee advise them to switch to a Galaxy for its superior features. Another ad growing up told the story of an iPhone user who spent years frustrated with their device, finally switching to a Galaxy and growing up. These ads didn't just promote products, but also shaped Sam fans as smart, practical, and always ahead of the curve. Apple, with a more subtle style, often chose to subtly mock Android through campaigns that emphasized security, simplicity, and quality. The ad privacy. That's iPhone highlighted that the iPhone better protects user data, implicitly suggesting that Android is vulnerable. Or the Shot on iPhone campaign turned photos and videos taken by iPhone users into works of art, reinforcing the image of iPhones as creative, classy, and belonging to an elite community. Rarely mentioned Samsung directly, but its message was clear. The iPhone is the choice for those who want perfection without complexity. These campaigns created a culture of confrontation on social platforms like X, YouTube, and TikTok. Videos comparing the iPhone and Galaxy attracted millions of views, with the comments section filled with debates between iFans and Sam fans. On X, hashtags like #TeamApple and #Team Samsung became places for users to declare their loyalty, share memes mocking their rivals, or show off their favorite device's achievements. Facebook groups like iPhone Group or Samsung Galaxy Fans became virtual battlefields where users debated everything from camera quality to software update speed. Even in everyday conversations at a coffee shop or office, pulling out an iPhone or a Galaxy can trigger a debate about which side is better. As a result, users are not just customers. They become fanboys or fangirls, ready to defend their favorite brand against any criticism, no matter how small. An iFan might argue that the iPhone doesn't need a foldable screen because it's not actually useful, while a Sam fan counters that Apple is a decade behind Samsung in technology. This war is not just about products, but about identity, where users feel their phone choice reflects who they are and what they value. The cultural war between iPhones and Sam fans is a testament to the power of Apple and Samsung in not just creating products, but also building communities with distinct identities. iPhones represent elegance, class, and a seamless experience, while Sam fans embody practicality, flexibility, and being a pioneer. The media campaigns, from Samsung's mocking ads to Apple's emotional messages, have turned a tech rivalry into a cultural phenomenon, where users don't just choose a phone, but also choose a side to belong to. So, can you confidently say that your choice of phone or Galaxy is based purely on logic, unaffected by community, culture, or media? Or have we all, to some extent, inadvertently become part of this drama, caught up in the war between two giants? Ponder that, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to look forward to the next part, where we will explore the profound impact of the Apple-Samsung rivalry on the global industry and the future of mobile technology. The present from rivalry to a bipolar world. If the 2010s were a period of direct battles, where Apple and Samsung launched relentless tech and legal punches, then the present, in 2025, this rivalry has shifted to a new, more sophisticated and complex phase. No longer a fierce scramble for every segment or feature, these two tech giants have shaped a bipolar world in the smartphone industry, where each side dominates its own territory with a clear philosophy and strategy. Apple and Samsung are now like two kings, each reigning on their own throne, but still maintaining a bizarre frenemy relationship, both competing and depending on each other. Let's explore how these two companies are shaping the current market. From Apple's dominance in the high-end segment, Samsung's diversity in hardware, to their complex but indispensable relationship. In 2025, Apple has solidly cemented its position as the king of the high-end segment, where it not only leads in sales but also sets the standard for premium smartphones. According to a Counterpoint research report, Apple continues to hold over 50% of the market share in the over $800 phone segment in 2024, far surpassing rivals like Samsung, Xiaomi, or Google. The iPhone is not just a product, it is a symbol of class, elegance, and innovation. With models like the iPhone 16 Pro continuing to push the limits of chip performance, AI integration, and a minimalist but easily recognizable design. Apple's greatest strength today is not just in hardware, but in the massive ecosystem of services it has built over more than a decade. From the App Store, Apple Music, iCloud, Apple TV Plus, to Apple Fitness Plus, and Apple Arcade. Apple has created a walled garden where users don't just buy an iPhone, but are drawn into a seamless network of services, according to Statista. Apple's services revenue reached over $90 billion in fiscal year 2024, accounting for nearly 25% of the company's total revenue, compared to just 10% a decade ago. These services not only provide a stable revenue stream, but also create a strong wall, making it difficult for users to leave the Apple ecosystem. For example, an iPhone user can sync data via iCloud, use the Apple Watch for health tracking, and watch movies on Apple TV+, all designed to work most seamlessly on Apple devices, creating a strong lock-in effect. Apple doesn't need to participate in the price war in the mid-range or budget segments, where competition is fierce with brands like Xiaomi, Oppo, or Vivo. Instead, it focuses on optimizing the user experience and maintaining a premium brand image. Advertising campaigns like Privacy, that's iPhone or Shot on iPhone, continue to emphasize creativity, security, and lifestyle, making the iPhone the default choice for those who want to make a social statement. According to Interbrand, Apple's brand value in 2024 reached over $500 billion, continuing to hold the title of the world's most valuable brand. While Apple dominates the high-end segment, Samsung solidifies its position as a comprehensive giant, leading in volume, hardware, and innovation in smartphone technology. According to IDC, Samsung is still the world's #1 smartphone manufacturer by volume. With a market share of about 22% in 2024, compared to Apple's 18%, Samsung's secret lies in its product diversification strategy, from flagship lines like the Galaxy S24 Ultra, mid-range Galaxy A series, to budget-friendly Galaxy M series. Catering to every need from high-end users in the US and Europe to price-sensitive users in India and Africa, Samsung particularly stands out in display and foldable technology. As the world's leading old panel manufacturer, Samsung Displays supplies screens not only for Galaxy devices, but also for many rivals, including Apple. The dynamic AMOLED 2X technology on models like the Galaxy S24 and Z Fold 6 delivers peak brightness of up to 2,600 nits, HDR10+ support, and superior color display capabilities. Being rated as the best smartphone screen by DisplayMate for many consecutive years, but Samsung's biggest highlight is the Galaxy Z Fold and Z Flip series, which ushered in the era of foldable smartphones in 2019. By 2025, the Galaxy Z series has reached its 7th generation, with improvements in durability, a smoother hinge, and a superior multitasking experience, such as the ability to run 3 apps simultaneously on the large screen. According to Omdia, Samsung held over 80% of the global foldable smartphone market share in 2024, while Apple has yet to release a foldable iPhone despite many rumors about a prototype. Samsung doesn't just sell phones, it sells technology. From the S Pen on the Galaxy S Ultra series, the 200MP camera sensor, to the AI-integrated Exynos chip, Samsung is always at the forefront of experimenting with new features, even if they aren't yet perfect. This strategy helps them attract users who love being pioneers and are willing to experience groundbreaking technologies like foldable screens or 10x optical zoom. Samsung's advertising campaigns, like Join the Flip Side for the Z Flip series, emphasize creativity and individuality, creating an image of a dynamic and constantly innovating brand. The most interesting and ironic thing about the rivalry between Apple and Samsung is their frenemy relationship. They are rivals, but also indispensable partners. Despite fierce competition in the market, both still depend on each other in the supply chain and business strategy, creating a strange but stable balance. Apple, despite being a symbol of independence and innovation, still has to rely on Samsung to supply critical components, especially high-quality old screens for high-end iPhone models, according to Reuters. Samsung Display has supplied over 70% of the old panels for the iPhone since the iPhone X, with contracts worth billions of dollars each year. Every time a new iPhone is released and praised for its sharp Retina XDR display or superior brightness, it's also an indirect victory for Samsung, because their AMOLED technology helped create that experience. Additionally, Samsung also manufactures flash memory and DRAM chips for the iPhone, ensuring smooth performance and large storage capacity. This dependency puts Apple in a difficult position. It needs its biggest rival to maintain its leading position. Conversely, Samsung also needs Apple to solidify its position in the component manufacturing industry. The success of the iPhone, with hundreds of millions of units sold each year, is a perfect showcase for Samsung's display and component technology. Every old panel in an iPhone not only brings in revenue, but is also proof of Samsung Display's quality and reliability, helping it win contracts with other companies like Google, Oppo, or even Tesla for electric vehicle screens. According to Strategy Analytics, Samsung's components division contributed over 30% of the group's profit in 2024, with Apple being one of its largest customers. This frenemy relationship creates a unique bipolar world. Apple dominates the high-end segment and the service ecosystem, while Samsung leads in volume, hardware, and pioneering technologies like foldable screens. Both not only compete, but also inadvertently support each other, creating a diverse and vibrant smartphone market. This dependency also raises a question: will Apple soon release a foldable iPhone to compete with the Galaxy Z? Or will Samsung develop a service ecosystem strong enough to challenge Apple's walled garden? And more importantly, will this partnership remain stable as both continue to innovate and expand? In 2025, the war between Apple and Samsung has shifted from a direct confrontation to a bipolar world, where each side dominates its own area, but still needs the other to survive and thrive. Apple is the king of the high-end segment with a strong service ecosystem and brand. Samsung is the comprehensive giant, leading in volume, hardware, and pioneering technologies like foldable screens. Their frenemy relationship is a testament to the complexity of the tech industry, where competition and collaboration intertwine, creating a diverse and innovative market. So, do you think this mutual dependency will make the war between Apple and Samsung last indefinitely? Or will one side one day completely surpass the other? Will Apple enter the foldable screen game, or will Samsung build an ecosystem strong enough to topple Apple's walled garden? Share your thoughts, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to look forward to the next part, where we will explore the future of this rivalry and its impact on the global tech industry. The future, a war with an end. We've taken a long journey together, from the early days of the iPhone revolution in 2007, through fierce tech battles, protracted legal lawsuits, relentless market competition, and even the deep cultural influence on global consumers between Apple and Samsung. The 2010s were truly the decade of direct confrontation, with billion-dollar lawsuits lasting for years, humorous but sarcastic trolling through advertising campaigns, and a relentless race for product features, from curved screens to multi-lens cameras. But as we enter 2025, with the rapid development of technology and changes in user behavior, the big question is, will the war between Apple and Samsung ever truly end? Or will it continue to evolve in new forms, with the participation of new enemies from other regions? More advanced tech arenas, and completely different ways of shaping the future of technology compared to the past. Let's delve deeper into the factors that will shape the next chapter of this rivalry. From the strong rise of new rivals to groundbreaking tech battlefields like virtual reality and artificial intelligence. And finally, the lasting legacy that Apple and Samsung have left for the modern tech world. For over a decade, the war between the iPhone and Galaxy has been the main axis of the global smartphone market, with Apple and Samsung taking turns leading in sales, technological innovation, and deep cultural influence on users. However, the competitive landscape in 2025 has become more complex than ever. With the incredible rise of Chinese tech companies like Xiaomi, Huawei, Oppo, and Vivo, these names are no longer followers as they were a decade ago. They have truly become formidable rivals, directly challenging the dominant position of both Apple and Samsung in many market segments, according to data from StateCounter in Q2 2025. The total global market share of Chinese brands reached about 40 to 45%, with stable growth thanks to competitive pricing strategies and rapid innovation. The rise of Chinese tech giants. Xiaomi. With a proven successful value for money strategy, Xiaomi has captured emerging markets like India, Southeast Asia, and even parts of Europe. According to a Canalys report, Xiaomi surpassed Samsung to become the world's #1 smartphone manufacturer by volume in some quarters of 2021, and continues to hold a top 3 position in 2024, with a global market share of about 15% in Q2 2025. Models like the Xiaomi 14 Ultra offer a 50MP camera with Leica lenses, 9OW fast charging, and a price that is only 2/3 of the iPhone 16 Pro, attracting young and price-sensitive users. By 2025, Xiaomi continues to expand with the Xiaomi 15 series, integrating advanced AI and a 144Hz screen, helping the company achieve a sales increase of 30% over the previous year, especially in Southeast Asia, where they lead the market with a 19% market share, according to Canalys. Huawei. Despite being heavily affected by the US trade ban since 2019, Huawei has made a strong recovery in its domestic Chinese market, thanks to its self-developed Harmonios operating system and models like the Mate 60 Pro with its own Kirin 9% chip. According to Counterpoint Research, Huawei held over 30% of the market share in China in 2024. And by Q2 2025, this number had increased to 18% globally in the domestic market, pushing back both Apple and Samsung in the world's largest market with 12.2 million units shipped. Huawei is also expanding into areas like wearables and IoT, helping them maintain a 15% annual growth despite the restrictions. Oppo and Vivo. These two brands, part of the BBK Electronics Group, have made waves with models like the Oppo Find X7 Ultra and Vivo X100 Pro. Notable for their super-fast charging technology and cameras in collaboration with Zeiss, they also pioneer innovative designs like thin and light foldable screens and under-display cameras. In 2025, Oppo and Vivo together hold about an 8 to 9% global market share, according to IDC, with strong growth in India and Asia, where they control over 22% of the market. New models like the Oppo Find X8 and Vivo X200 have integrated advanced AI image processing, helping them compete directly with Samsung's flagships. These companies are not just competing with affordable prices and powerful specs, but also investing heavily in aesthetic design. Advanced technologies like 2K 120Hz screens, deep AI integration into the system, and superior cameras with up to 10x optical zoom capability. They target both the budget and high-end segments, putting great pressure on Samsung in the mid-range and Apple in the flagship segment. For example, in India, the world's second largest smartphone market, Xiaomi and Oppo together held over a 40% market share in 2024, and by 2025, this number remains at 34%, according to IDC, compared to Samsung and Apple. Furthermore, Chinese companies also leverage the advantage of local supply chains to reduce costs, allowing them to launch new products faster, sometimes in just 6 to 9 months. The emergence of Chinese companies has turned the Apple-Samsung war into a true three-kingdoms story, where new powers not only challenge but also force the two giants to innovate faster to maintain their position. Samsung, with its large-scale hardware manufacturing advantage and product diversity from budget to high-end, is responding by launching more affordable Galaxy A&M series, while also pushing foldable technology with the Galaxy Z Fold and Z Flip series, achieving a sales increase of 6% in 2025. Apple, meanwhile, maintains its strategy of focusing on the high-end segment with a closed ecosystem, but is also starting to expand with models like the iPhone, say, and updated versions to reach price-sensitive users, helping it achieve a 16% global market share according to Canalys. However, both must face pressure from Chinese rivals, who compete not only on price but also on the speed of innovation, the ability to customize for local markets, and earlier AI integration. For example, Huawei has led in China with an 18% market share, while Xiaomi dominates Southeast Asia, forcing Samsung to adjust its advertising and distribution strategies. Will the smartphone war in the near future become a truly multipolar playground? Chinese companies playing a key role in even surpassing Apple Samsung in some regions? Or will Apple and Samsung continue to strengthen their bipolar world with strategic moves like collaborating with new suppliers or investing in R&D? The answer depends on how these two giants react to this new wave. But it's clear that market diversification is benefiting consumers with more choices than ever before. The war between Apple and Samsung in the future may no longer revolve around the smartphone as a standalone device, but shift to new arenas, where augmented reality, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and wearable devices become the main battlefields. This is not just a race to dominate the smartphone market, but to shape the technology of the next generation. From how we interact with the real world through a virtual layer to how we work, play, and even take care of our health daily. With the AR/VR market projected to reach $46.6 billion in 2025 and grow at a CAGR of 26 to 38% until 2030. According to Statista, this game is becoming more attractive than ever. Apple has laid the first stones for the future with the Apple Vision Pro, a mixed reality headset launched in 2024, positioned as the world's first spatial computer. Priced starting at $3,500, the Vision Pro combines AR and VR to provide a virtual space for working, watching movies, and playing games, controlled by hand and eye gestures. According to Bloomberg, Apple has invested over $5 billion in R&D for the Vision Pro, with the goal of turning it into the next platform after the iPhone. By 2025, Apple updates the Vision Pro with a more powerful M5 chip, supporting Apple Intelligence, a personalized AI system, into Vision OS 26, allowing for natural language processing, task optimization, and creative content generation like images or videos seamlessly. Wearable devices like the Apple Watch Series X and AirPods Pro 3 are also becoming smarter. With advanced health tracking capabilities and AI integration for touchless interaction, helping users manage their daily lives more effectively, Apple is shaping the future of technology as a closed ecosystem, where AR, VR, AI, and wearables work seamlessly with the iPhone, iPad, and Mac. This strategy helps Apple maintain user loyalty with a retention rate of up to 90%, but also poses a challenge. Can they expand their influence to new markets where price is a key factor, especially when initial Vision Pro sales haven't met expectations due to the high price? Samsung, with its strength in hardware and large-scale manufacturing, is also actively participating in new arenas. They have launched Galaxy XR, the official name for Project Muhana, mixed reality headset in collaboration with Google and Qualcomm, officially launching in 2025 to compete directly with the Apple Vision Pro. The Galaxy XR runs on Android XR, with a sharp micro-LED screen and a more competitive price, around $1,500 to $2,000, helping it reach a wider range of users. Samsung also pioneers AI integration into smartphones. Galaxy AI on the Galaxy S24 and S25 series. It's offering features like real-time language translation, AI photo editing, battery performance optimization, and even personalized virtual assistants based on user behavior. Additionally, Samsung is expanding its wearables portfolio with the Galaxy Watch 7 and Galaxy Buds 3 Pro, integrating advanced health sensors like deep sleep tracking and connectivity with the SmartThings ecosystem, allowing for automatic control of smart home devices. Samsung's strength is its ability to manufacture hardware on a large scale and at a competitive price. From micro-LED screens for AR/VR headsets to Exynos chips with an integrated neural processing unit for AI, they also continue to lead in foldable technology, with models like the Galaxy Z Fold 7 launching in 2025, which can integrate AR to display 3D content directly on the foldable screen, taking the user experience to a new level. However, Samsung's challenge lies in building a software ecosystem strong enough to compete with Apple. Especially as Android still depends on Google, the speed of AI updates is sometimes slower than its rivals. The AR, VR, and AI wars will not just be about pure technology, about how Apple and Samsung shape the user experience in an increasingly digitized and connected world. Apple has the advantage of a closed ecosystem and a premium brand, but Samsung has the advantage of flexible hardware and affordable prices. Chinese companies like Huawei and Xiaomi are also jumping into the game, promising a dramatic multipolar race. According to Gartner and Deloitte, the global AR/VR market is projected to reach $180 billion by 2027, while the mobile AI market will grow at a rate of 30% per year, with 28% of new smartphones integrating generative AI by 2025. This is a huge opportunity, but also a massive challenge for both Apple and Samsung, requiring them to invest heavily in R&D and strategic partnerships to avoid being left behind. Whether the war between Apple and Samsung ever ends, one thing is certain. It has left a huge legacy in the history of human technology. From redefining the smartphone with the iPhone in 2007, turning it into a symbol of innovation, to ushering in the era of foldable screens. With the Galaxy Z series, these two giants have reshaped how we live, connect, and dream about the future. They transformed the smartphone from a simple communication device into the center of our digital lives, influencing every aspect from daily work, entertainment, to how we express ourselves through social media and personalized features. This war not only created iconic products like the iPhone X or Galaxy S21, but also spurred continuous innovation, benefiting billions of users worldwide through decreasing prices and increasingly rich features. In the future, will Apple and Samsung continue to maintain a bipolar world, or will rivals from China and new arenas like AR/VR and AI shake the balance of power? With the global smartphone market only expected to grow by 1% in 2025 according to IDC, but AI and AR/VR projected to explode, which war will shape our world, just as the iPhone and Galaxy have done for the past 2 decades. Share your thoughts in the comments section, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to look forward to the next exciting content, where we will continue to explore the latest tech trends and their profound impact on modern life.
You've crossed the story. You felt every pulse in the dark, and I was there with you, quietly, always. That's why I left behind one last thing. Not to explain, not to impress, just to stay with you a little longer. A song I chose with care, as if tucking you in from across time and space. So go on, lay back, the music knows where to take you. you're still here, then you're something rare. Not many stay this long. So, thank you for choosing to stay. I'm here too, still awake, surrounded by the quiet glow of my editing screen, shaping the next stories just for you. If there's anything you want to leave behind, a whisper, a suggestion, even just a symbol, drop it in the comments. Because maybe, tomorrow night, you'll hear yourself echoed in a story that's never been told before.